double check that I'm live. All right. So, hi everyone, welcome back. So this is the last Facebook Live yoga class that I'm doing. It's been an absolute pleasure to do these little classes in the group. But yeah, I'm back to teaching on Saturday when the gyms reopen. So this is the last one, and I figured we are going to focus on two areas that people really struggle with today, just because it's the last one and I think we've probably all been sitting down quite a lot. We are going to be focusing on hips and shoulders. The hips get super tight usually. Shoulders, my shoulders at least, seize up really quickly. So yeah, hips and shoulders today for our last Facebook Live yoga class. Been an honour. I get emotional. Alright, well, hopefully I'll see you on Saturday when the classes restart. So for today, you are going to need a yoga strap or a resistance band or a dressing gown cord, something similar. And if you have any injuries, just make sure that you check with a doctor before doing this. Give me a message. All the classes will be left in the group so you can replay them, and I also stick them on my YouTube channel, so you can always go over to my YouTube channel and find every single class that I've taught during lockdown. There's quite a few, I think over 60, so there's plenty of content to keep looking for if you can't make the Saturday in-person class. But yeah, we're just going to crack on for the last one. I know I've said that a few times now. It's going to be weird. It's going to be weird not teaching these every Wednesday. Gives my day some structure. Alright, we're going to start lying down. Hips and shoulders. Here we go. So if you want to come to a lying position, if it's comfortable, bring the soles of the feet together, let the knees fall out sideways. If that's super uncomfortable, you can just have the legs straight. If you have the legs straight, then the outsides of the feet just fall very passively, very gently towards the floor. So you're still benefiting from that openness in the hips. But if your lower back feels a little bit sensitive, another option, you can just have the knees bent, soles of the feet on the floor. Okay, so very much up to you. You just want to find a position that you can be comfortable in, something you can be still in. You can rest the hands on the tummy, or just gently place the hands either side of the body, palms up. We always have the palms up if we place the hands next to the body, so we can start opening up into the shoulders. So gently drawing the shoulder blades underneath the back, feeling that broadness across the chest. And then if you do have the soles of the feet together with the knees falling out sideways, we're not trying to force the knees down. They're just falling as far as they want to fall. Very easy, very gentle. And just take your attention around the body, check in, see how you feel. So see how your hips feel, how do your shoulders feel. And like I said earlier, I imagine these two areas have got pretty tight during lockdown. Perhaps we've been moving a little bit less, maybe spending more time sitting at a desk, sitting down in general. Any areas of tension you need to be mindful of. And we're going to work some deep hip openers today. So one area you need to be conscious of are your knees. So if the hips are tight, sometimes it can start pulling into the knees. Lower back, obviously, always. And while some of the postures will definitely feel a little bit sensational today, we never want sharp or shooting pain. So we're starting to notice sort of the quality of sensation in our body as well. Really important. Starting to build a better body awareness, so we know when we need to perhaps push a little bit harder or perhaps pull back a little. All really useful things to help us move a bit more consciously through everyday life and also in other forms of activity. So knowing your limits, respecting your body, respecting the limits, and also just knowing if you're being a little bit lazy, which I often am. So being quite honest with ourselves as we move through the practice today. And then just very quickly take your attention to your breath, inhales and exhales equal in length. Breathe in deeply through the nose and feeling the rib cage rise and fall. So you want to find a rhythm that's sustainable. So it's not a competition of who can hold the breath the longest. So we want to feel comfortable, but definitely slower than perhaps we're used to. And we'll try and keep this rhythm going throughout the class. And the breath tells us a lot about whether we need to go a little bit harder or pull back. So if the breath becomes laboured, you need to pull back. Always making sure you can breathe comfortably in a posture. And sometimes taking a few deep breaths will help the muscles relax, will help tension release. In that way, it can aid us to move a little bit further if appropriate. So above all forms of yoga are breathing practices. Okay, lovely. And we're going to start gently. We'll just warm the body up slowly, start to work into the hips and the shoulders quite passively. So if the knees are apart, you can just slowly bring the knees together. And we'll take a cat stretch here. So point the toes down the mat, arms overhead. Just make yourself as long as you can. So it might be the longest stretch you've had all day. Really point the toes, really lift the arms and feel the shoulders rise up by the ears, the stretch in the lower back, tops of the legs. And then as you exhale, just hug the knees into the chest, rock from side to side, make some circles. So keep the back of the head on the floor, then use the hands around the knees or the shins to guide the movement. We're squeezing the thighs in towards the belly as you roll. Should feel quite nice for your lower back, hopefully. So rocking out any tension that may have built up overnight. Giving the lower back a little bit of a massage. And then take both feet to the floor. So the first hip opener we're going to do is very supportive. It's a really fantastic posture for your lower back if you get tight glutes, the piriformis, that sort of area. We're going to leave the left foot on the floor and we're going to cross the right foot over the left thigh. Okay, very simple. So this might actually be enough for some people. You can stay here. You may already be feeling an opening in the right hip. You just sort of gently draw your right knee down the mat. If you want to go a little bit further, you just pick the left foot up off the floor, thread the hands through the legs and take hold of the back of the left thigh. Okay. Gentle way to start easing into the hips. One of my favourites. If it's very uncomfortable using the hands around the back of the left thigh, you can use a yoga strap or something similar. So we want the shoulders and the back of the head to stay down. So we're keeping the upper body relaxed, keeping the feet active, so toes gently draw back and that helps protect the knees. Breath steady, and with every exhale, as long as the base of the spine stays down, gently drawing the left thigh back towards the tummy. You should feel a very big stretch in your right butt cheek. That's kind of the area we're aiming for. And then the angle of your right shin tells you a lot about your hip. So if the right knee is closer to the face and if the right ankle is further away, it's an indication the hips are a little bit tight. But as the hips start to open, that rotation becomes a little bit easier. The shin becomes a little bit more parallel. All happens over time, can't rush it. Just notice what's going on for your body. Notice how your hips feel in this first hip opener. And provided your right knee's okay, you can gently draw the right knee down the mat as you ease the left thigh back. If your right elbow is against the inner right thigh, you can use it to gently press that leg away. Just making the stretch a little bit deeper. And we'll just hold it here for a few more breaths. Keep the chin in towards the chest so the back of the neck is long. Keep those shoulders rolling back. Keep the chest broad. Okay, lovely. And then just release, but keep the legs where they are. So just bring the left foot down to the floor. Keep the right ankle over the left thigh, and we're going to take it into a twist. So we're just going to cross the right knee now on top of the left. So the knees are stacked. Take your arms out wide, palms down. You're more than welcome to move your bum over towards the right ever so slightly, just a few inches. Might give you a bit more room. Big inhale through the nose, and then as you exhale, very lazily, no force, just let the legs fall over towards the left. As long as your neck's okay, you gently turn, look over the right shoulder. A really lovely twist for the lower back, but you may also be feeling something in that right glute area. So that's kind of where we're trying to target. Right at the top of the right leg, the hip. And while there's a little bit of effort to keep the knees stacked, we're not squeezing the thighs together. The legs are pretty heavy, very passive. Just make sure that right shoulder stays down. So that's where the stretch starts from. So we want to anchor that right shoulder. And to do that, you may want to be a little bit stronger through the right arm. So really pressing the right palm down. Or you could just bring the legs a little bit higher towards center. Okay, fab, and then bring those knees back to center, uncross the legs, and just square your hips up. We're going to do exactly the same thing the other side. So right knee bent, right foot on the floor, crossing the left foot over the right thigh this time. You might want to stay here, just gently working the left knee down the mat, feeling the opening, top left leg. Or if you want a deeper stretch, you can pick the right foot up off the mat, hands or strap around the back of the right thigh. So exactly the same posture, just the other side. And you may notice, it might be quite immediate, it is for me at least, that one side feels very different to the other. So noticing the imbalances in the body, which hip may be tighter, which leg might be stronger. And then through our yoga practice, through the repetition of right and left sides, we're trying to balance those out. So bring harmony to the body in that way. Always being mindful of the left knee. Keep the shoulders down, back of the head relaxed, chin in so the neck's long. Both toes are active, they're gently working, and the base of the spine's glued to the floor. Feeling that lovely stretch, not so subtle stretch in the left butt cheek, opening up into the left hip. Gently working the right thigh back, and perhaps actively drawing the left knee down the mat or pressing the left elbow in a left thigh. Breath steady. A few more moments here. Definitely one posture that I recommend to everyone all the time. If people ask me what postures they should do, I'm like, this one, just do this one and a couple of twists and you're good. It's got a lot of benefits and it's not unique to yoga, so quite a, I suppose, common stretch. Okay, fab, and then we'll take it into our little twist. So releasing the thigh, right foot down, and then just crossing that left knee over the right, arms wide, palms down, perhaps moving the bum over towards the left just a few inches. Big inhale, and as you exhale, very lazily let the legs fall over towards the right. Gently turning the head, looking over the left shoulder, keeping the left shoulder anchored and feeling the stretch lower back around that left glute, top of the left leg. And just moving as far as the body wants to move. There is no force. So the purpose of the posture is definitely not to get the knees to the floor. Noticing if one side feels a little bit different. One more deep breath here. Okay, and then inhale, just bring the legs back up to center, uncross, square the hips up, and we'll take another cat stretch, point the toes down the mat, arms overhead, lengthen. Really lifting those shoulders up by the ears, pointing the toes. You may feel a little arch lift in your lower back. And then hugging the knees into the chest, rocking from side to side. And because this is a hip class, we can get into the hips a little bit more from this rolling around action. So instead of making one big circle with the knees, you can take the knees and make separate circles, okay? So starting to move around that hip socket. Sometimes feels a little bit crunchy. But crunchy's fine as long as there's no pain. Don't worry about that. Either way, whatever you're doing, separate circles or big circles, really good for the lower back. Just keep the back of the head on the floor. All right, and then you are popping yourselves up to seated. Okay, got a couple more warm-up postures to do, don't worry. Waking up the body bit by bit. So we're going to come through some cat-cows, but we're going to do them slightly differently. We're going to change up the leg position so that we can start to bring a stretch on the inner thigh. It's quite a unique little stretch, I think. So if you want to come into all fours, fingers spread underneath the shoulders, keep your left knee underneath the hip, but we are going to extend the right leg out to the side, right leg straight, and the right toes face forward. So just setting yourself up, fingers spread underneath the shoulders, left knee underneath the hip, that right leg is straight, coming out at a 90-degree angle, the sole of the right foot's on the floor and the toes face forward. Already, if your groin is tight, you may be feeling that stretch on the inner right thigh, but we're going to accentuate that now. So as you inhale, we're going to see if we can lift the hips, lift the chest, look forward. So coming into a little back bend. Now as you inhale and lift the hips, you're going to feel that stretch in the inner thigh deepen. And then as you exhale, round the back, chin to chest, and arch the spine up towards the ceiling. So the inhale lifts the hips, lifts the chest, press through the sole of the right foot and feel that deep stretch inner thigh. And then the exhale rounds. Chin to chest, press into the hands, and we're also getting that lovely stretch in the shoulders across the upper back. And keep moving in this way, so use your own breath. The whole of the inhale lifts, keep the sole of the right foot down. And then the whole of the exhale rounds. Okay, we'll take a couple more rounds of this. Really fantastic movement for the spine as well. Keep the arms as straight as you can, keep the fingers spread. Okay, last round, inhale, lift, exhale, round. The more you press into the hands, the deeper the stretch in the shoulders. We'll be coming to those later. Okay, no rush. At the end of your next exhale, just come to a flat back, and we're just going to bring the right leg in, and then we're going to do exactly the same the other side. So fingers spread. This time the right knee is going to stay underneath the shoulder, and we're going to extend the left leg out to the side, 90 degrees from the body. Sole of the left foot down, left toes face forward. Really plant through that left foot. And in your own time, inhale, lift the hips, lift the chest, look forward. And then exhale, round. So this side's a lot harder for me. Obviously the inner left thigh, the groin area is a lot tighter. You may be the same, you may be different. But just be aware of those differences. Be aware that you may not be able to move as deep one side as the other. It's not a problem. But just make the movement slow. Pay attention to that stretch inner left thigh. Keep the left foot, the sole of the foot pressing down into the floor. Fingers spread, waving through the spine. Quite a weird little, quite a weird little posture, this one. Okay, doing really well. Last round of this. I'm going to be needing the inner thighs later. Before we do a warm-up posture. Right, and then at the end of your next exhale, just come to a flat back and then bring the left leg in and come back into all fours. So we're just going to make our way into child's pose now. Coming into a wide variation, really good for our hips. So feet together, knees as wide as the mat, and then sit your bum as close towards your heels as possible. Now this closeness between the bum and the heels is way more important than getting the forehead or the chin and chest down. So work on that backward motion first, and then once you have them as close together as possible, then walk the hands forward, maybe forehead, maybe forearms, maybe chin and chest, very much up to you. Either way, feel the release in the hips, the groin, the lower back. Any discomfort in the knees, you're more than welcome to come out of the posture. Nice deep breaths. Okay, lovely. Now we're just going to bring a little shoulder opener into this posture. So keep the bum and the heels as close together as possible and just thread the right arm underneath the left. Okay, so we've threaded the right arm underneath the left. We're going to place the right cheek on the floor, look left. Laying the weight down into that right shoulder, and then straighten your left arm, crawl your left fingertips forward, and then see if you can draw your left armpit down towards the floor. So now we're starting to come to the shoulders. If it feels uncomfortable, you can just release a bit of the tension, maybe come up a little bit more so you're not laying so much weight down into that shoulder. We've got a twist across the upper back. Still trying to keep the bum drawing back towards the heels. Okay, fab, and then just untangle. We'll do exactly the same thing the other side. So keeping the bum and the heels as close together as possible. Now we're threading the left arm underneath the right. Left cheek down, looking right, straightening the right arm, drawing the right armpit down towards the floor, and really getting into that left shoulder now. Keep breathing deeply through the nose, relaxing as much as possible in these passive postures. Okay, fab, and then just untangle. Both arms forward, forehead back down towards the floor, and then from here, just work your knees together. So now we're coming into a closed leg child's pose. So knees and feet together, bum towards heels, and then bring your arms either side of the body, palms up. Okay, it's just a slightly different variation. From here, you're going to interlace your hands behind the back, squeeze the shoulder blades together as much as possible, and then as you inhale, see if you can straighten the arms up towards the ceiling. Opening across the chest, working into the shoulders now. Keep the bum and the heels close together so we've not lifted the hips up. Seeing if we can get the arms as straight as possible. Don't worry if they haven't lifted very far. Just do your best here. And then exhale. Just let the hands flop either side of the body. Maybe give your wrists a wriggle. And then on your next inhale, just make your way up into all fours. Lovely. Fingers spread. Feet hip width apart and parallel. We're going to come into downward dog. So as you inhale, tuck the toes. Send the hips up and back, and just make your way into downward dog however you're working it. So the knees can be bent, the heels can be off the floor. If the hamstrings feel okay, absolutely fine to straighten the legs. We haven't done much with the hamstrings, so feel free to pedal one heel down towards the floor, then the other. But just make the pedaling slow and controlled. Push your hip back as you take your heel down towards the floor. Keep the fingers spread, feet hip width apart, hands shoulder width apart, and the head is very relaxed, so there's no tension in the back of the neck. The head is just hanging down through the arms. Okay, just getting into the calves and the hamstrings a little bit more. Working into the lower back and starting to strengthen the shoulders. Okay, a few more moments here. Right, fab. Then stop pedaling. Just see if you can draw the thighs a little bit more towards the back of the room. So press forward with the hands strongly to take the hips back. Maybe tilt your hips up towards the ceiling. Keep the back of the neck relaxed. Feel that deep stretch back of the legs lifting through the thighs. If the heels are down, pressing down through the heels. Okay, lovely. And then, here we go. You're going to kill your hips now. From here, you're either going to step or hop your feet to the outside of your hands and come down into a little yoga squat. Everyone's favourites. I feel like I haven't done these for a while. This is my favourite way to sit. Okay, so you've hopped your feet or you've stepped your feet to the outside of the hands, you've lowered the bum down, and then just take your hands into prayer. Absolutely, we're going to be here for a little while. We're going to be doing a couple of variations, so feel free to just exit at any time if you need to. But this is an incredible posture for your lower back, your hips, your groin and your ankles, okay? So if you can, as long as there's no pain, just sit with it. Your heels do not have to be on the floor. You can have the heels lifted. Now, if the heels are lifted, you may want to take your hands on the floor for balance. If you can balance on your toes, or if the heels are down, hands into prayer. Now we're pressing the arms into the thighs, we're pressing the thighs back into the arms, and we're opening across the pelvis, the inner thighs. And try and avoid rolling the shoulders forward, so keep the shoulders rolling down the spine, keep extending through the crown of the head. And there's resistance between the palms as well, so stretching into the wrists. And we're going to hold it here for a slow count of 5. So keep the breath steady, keep the hips sinking for 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Lovely. So on your next inhale, you're going to use the strength of the legs to press you up to standing. And then as you exhale, we're sinking back down into a little yoga squat. So try not to move the feet if possible. From here, we're going to turn the fingers down to face the mat. And then as you inhale, press into the hands and lift the wrists up towards the chest. Still extending through the crown of the head, still trying to avoid rolling the shoulders forward. Getting into the wrists a little bit, and again we'll hold it for a slow count of 5. So keep the breath steady, 5. Try and find a point of stillness too. Try not to shuffle around too much. That's just avoiding the sensation. 4. Sitting with it as long as there's no pain. 3, 2, and 1. Lovely. So bring the fingers to face the ceiling again. On your next inhale, push through the feet, come up to standing. And then as you, without moving the feet, into your little squat. This time we are going to see if we can roll the shoulders forward. We're going to see if we can drop the forearms towards the floor, to the floor or towards the floor. It's going to be a deeper stretch. So take a big inhale, then as you exhale, roll the shoulders forward. See if you can bring the forearms to the floor. Hands still in prayer, feel that deeper stretch in the hips. Breathe deeply through the nose and we'll hold it for 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Lovely. Lift the forearms back up, and then as you inhale, push yourself up to standing. Last one. Exhale, come down without moving the feet, back into your little squat, hands in prayer. This is getting a lot for the hips, isn't it? Good though, really good postures. And then as you inhale, without lifting the butt, keeping the hips low, you're just going to extend the arms up, you're going to look up. Okay, feeling the work in the ankles here as well. Holding it for 1, 2, deep breaths, 3, 4, and 5. As you inhale, keep looking up, press into the feet, come up to standing, and then feel free to shake the legs out. Hips. Hips, yes. So they're really good postures. I recommend trying to sit like that for a little bit every day, just for as long as you can kind of like do it comfortably and build it up over time, because you know it's a good way to move. It's designed to kind of be moving around like that, to sit like that. So if you can, try and sit in one of those little squats a little bit every day, and you're going to notice massive improvements in your hips and your lower back and your ankles and your knees. Homework time. All right, so after you've given your legs a little shake, just come to the front of your mat with the balls of the feet together and the ankles apart. Now we're going to come through some sun salutations. We're going to work in a couple of lizards, which are very deep hip openers, just keeping with the theme of the hip opening. So lift your shoulders, allow them to fall back, head slightly tilted forward. As you inhale, sweep your arms up, look up, press the palms. And then exhale, fold hands to floor, drop the head and bend the knees as much as you need to. Now from here, we are going to step back with a straight right leg. We're going to hold it here. Okay, so from here, just wiggle your left foot towards the outside edge of your mat a little bit. Move your left hand on the inside of the left foot, and we're in lizard. Very uncomfortable. You can always drop the right knee if you need to. If possible though, keep that right leg straight as you can, and then keep sinking the hips low. So don't pick the hips up, keep the hips sinking low and feel that stretch in the top of the right leg, hip flexor area, but we're also working left hip. Chest forward and breathe. Okay, we'll hold it here for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Lovely. So just take a step back now with the left foot and step forward with the right foot. Right foot to the outside of the right hand. Left leg straight. Left heel off the floor, shooting that left leg back but keeping the hips low, chest forward. Opening up into the right hip, but also working deeply into that left hip flexor, front of the leg for 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Step back to plank, and from plank lower to a very low press up on the floor. Inhale a back bend, and exhale downward dog. And then just hold your downward dogs, regain your breath, recapture your breath, find your breath. Heels can be off the floor, legs can be bent, but just keep pressing forward with the hands to take the hips back. Hands shoulder width apart, feet hip width apart, drawing the thighs to the back of the room. Holding it here. Okay, lovely. And then as you inhale, we're just going to step, walk or jump, both feet between the hands, look forward. Exhale, drop the head, forward fold, and then inhale, arms all the way up, look up. And then exhale, arms by your side, and do one more of those. So inhale, arms up, reach, palms press, look thumbs. Exhale, fold, hands to floor, drop the head. From here, take a step back, this time with a straight left leg. Then move your right foot to the outside edge of the mat, right hand comes on the inner side of the foot, and we're back to our lizard. So keep the hips low. So the lower you sink the hips, the harder it is to keep that left leg straight, but just do your best, keep the chest shining forward, keep the right knee hugging in towards the right arm. You may find that you can get a little bit lower, don't worry if not. Just keep that breath steady. If you have the room, you are more than welcome to maybe bend the elbows, sink down a bit lower, maybe come down onto forearms, but that's very dependent on your hips and don't push it. So you can stay on straight arms, you can bend the elbows, or you can come down onto your forearms. This is the last time we're going to do it, but don't let that right knee fall out to the side. Keep it drawing in towards the midline. Keep the left leg straight, keep the hips low. And we'll hold it here for 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Lovely. So if you're on forearms, straight arms, we'll just step back with the right foot, and we'll step forward with the left. Left foot to the outside of the left hand, left knee somewhere over the ankle. Then keep that right leg as straight as you can possibly get it. Breath steady. And you have the option of staying on straight arms, maybe bending the elbows, maybe coming down onto the forearms. But keep the left leg today drawing in towards the midline. Keep shooting back through that right heel. Keep the breath steady. Massively strong postures. 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. So come up onto straight arms if you're on bent arms. Step back to plank and then lower to very low press up on the floor. Inhale, back bend. And then exhale, downward dog. Feel free to walk the feet out if you need to here. Make whatever movements you need to for your hips to feel good again. Just keep the back of the neck relaxed. Keep the breath steady. Pushing forward with the hands to take the thighs back. Fingers spread, toes are spread. Okay, and then inhale, feet forward, look forward. Exhale, drop the head forward, fold. And then inhale, arms all the way up, look up. And then exhale, arms by your side. Woo! Okay, have a breather. Have a drink. I say that because I'm having a drink. Yeah. Hips, hey? We are coming back to the hips, but to give your hips a break, we are going to be just having a quick look at the shoulders. So first things first, we're just going to do some shoulder rolls. Very simple but very good, especially if you sit at a desk all day. So feet hip width apart and parallel, hands either side of the body. We want all of this movement to come from the rotator cuff, the shoulder. We don't want to be twisting, forward folding, bending. So stand up nice and tall, gently draw the tummy in, look forward, and then as you inhale, up into their highest shrug, roll them back, and then exhale, take the shoulders down, and roll them forward. So exaggerating the movement as much as possible. Inhale up, and back, and exhale down, and forward. Okay, see there's a couple of places you may feel this, so just keep doing this movement, making the circles big and slow and using your breath. So as you roll the shoulders forward, you may feel that little stretch come across the upper back. As you roll them back, maybe across the chest, and then as you draw the shoulder blades down, you may even feel the stretch come into the sides of the neck, back of the neck. Keeping the arms quite relaxed, so there's no need to tense the arms or clench the fists. Again, might feel a little bit crunchy, it's okay. As long as there's no pain, keep the neck long, keep looking forward, keep grounding through both feet, and then just move in the opposite direction, okay? So taking it the other way now. Standing up nice and tall. Just a few more moments here. Okay, and then so you can stop doing that. You can give your shoulders a little shake, lovely, and then you're going to need to locate your strap for my favourite shoulder opener in the world. All right, so I'm going to do this from my knees just because so you can see what I'm doing, but you will do it from standing. So I want you to stand with your feet hip width apart and parallel, and then we're going to do this 3 times. So I just hold the strap above your head. Lengthen the strap so the top of the strap is on your head. So we want to go wide first, just so that we can get a sense for the posture, sense for how it feels. Don't wrap the strap around your wrist, because if you need to lengthen it, it's going to be a problem. And then as you inhale, lift the strap overhead, and then as you exhale, just take the strap back halfway. See, this is quite helpful because I can see what halfway is. Halfway is where it hurts the most. Okay, so a little bend in the elbows, and your elbows face up, they face the ceiling. And then we're pulling the strap. So gently tugging on that strap to make it firm, so I should be able to ping it. If I were to ping it, it should sort of bounce, not sort of flop. Rolling the shoulders together and really opening up across the chest. This probably hands down is the best preparation for things like wheel back bends, where you need that real openness in the shoulders. So So keep looking forward, keep the neck long, keep the breath steady. Few more moments here, so don't lean back, don't lean forward. Remember, you're standing up, so keep grounding through both of the feet. And then as you exhale, just roll the strap down towards your bum. Roll the shoulders forward, little counter stretch, chin to chest. And then release, shoulders together. And then inhale, lift the strap back up halfway. Just make sure it is halfway, not too low, not too high. Inside of the elbows face up, little bend in the elbows and gently pull on the strap. I love this posture. I love this exercise, it's great. And then bring the strap all the way over your head, back to the front of your hips, and give your shoulders a little shake. So yeah, really, really great shoulder opener. Very, 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 very good. I know I've said it. If you are working towards wheel or crab pose, anything where your arms are coming back like that, which is a really tricky little movement, requires a lot of flexibility in that shoulder area. So this is something you want to be doing. We're going to do it twice more. This is your chance to shorten the strap if you want to. You don't remember, just maybe halfway, you don't need to go full welly just yet. If it was like, if you were on your limit, maybe keep the length, or you can even lengthen the strap a little bit. So very much up to you and how you feel. If you shorten the strap, there's going to be more of a tendency to want to lean forward and twist and back bend. So just make sure that you're keeping the body nice and upright, that all this movement's coming from the shoulder. Strap, don't wrap the strap around your wrist, because if you want to lengthen it, it's going to be tough. Inhale, straighten the arms, lift, and then exhale, take that strap back halfway. Make sure it is halfway. Halfway is the point where it hurts the most. Inside of the elbows face up, little bend in the elbows, and really just making that strap very taut, very firm. Neck's long. Breath steady. Few more moments here. Okay, and then exhale, release the strap down to your butt. Roll the shoulders forward, chin to chest, little counter stretch. Relax, draw the shoulders together, and then as you inhale, lifting the strap back up halfway, gently working that strap inside of the elbows face up, back's nice and long. And then exhale, strap all the way overhead, back down to the front of your hips. Give your shoulders a little shake and decide if you wanted to make the strap a little bit shorter. This is totally up to you and how you feel with your shoulders. Just be mindful. So there's no point in shortening the strap if you know that the alignment of the posture is not really working out. You want to make sure everything's nice and in line, all the movements coming from the shoulders. Do what you're doing, then inhale, lift, and then exhale back. Woof. All right. Okay. Little bend in the elbows, inside of the elbows face up. Making that strap quite taut, so gently pulling that strap, and then avoid forward folding, back bending, twisting. Spine is long, feet are grounded, breath is steady. Few more moments here. And then exhale, release the strap down to your butt, roll the shoulders forward, chin to chest. Then relax, last time, roll the shoulders together, lift on the inhale. Good. Halfway, the point that hurts the most. Holding it here, last time, so really see if you can get that strap as tight as possible. And then bring that strap all the way over your head. And then just give your shoulders a little shake. Lovely. Lovely. All right. Ow. Good. It's a very good posture. So we're going to do a couple of hip opens now. We're just going to take the pace down a little bit. I want to go through the sun salutation into pigeon, and then we're going to give double pigeon a go, which is a yin posture, otherwise known as shin to shin. We're going to see what happens, and then we're just going to come down and have a little rest. So we have been quite active. So, you know, the lizard part, sort of more strength building. These next few postures, a little bit more passive. The standing up from squats, a little bit more strength building for the glutes. So a nice little mix today for you. So balls of the feet together, ankles apart, and we'll make our way into pigeon. For the next couple of postures, please be very conscious of your knees. If anything hurts maybe just skip to the end and have a little rest. So as you inhale, arms up, look up. Exhale, fold, hands to floor, drop the head, forward fold. Inhale, look forward, lengthen, your choice. Exhale, step or jump back to plank. Lower to low, press up on the floor. You inhale, pull through a back bend. Exhale, downward dog. And then we're going to come into pigeon. So as you inhale, lift your right leg off the floor, point the toes. As you exhale, swoop the right knee through towards the right elbow. Your right ankle comes towards the left wrist, and see if you can lay the shin down on the floor. From there, scooch your left knee back, left leg back, and you're in a position that looks a bit like this. Now, if your hips are quite open, you might find the right shin is a bit more parallel. If the hips are a little bit tight, you might find the right ankle is closer towards the left hip, and you also might find that the left butt cheek lifts up off the floor. So it may look a bit more like this. That is absolutely okay as long as there's no pain in the right knee. Something you can do is slide a pillow underneath the right butt cheek or a block. If there's any discomfort in the knee, just come out of the posture, not worth it. Otherwise, you are trying to lay the right shin down on the floor. You are trying to eventually get the left butt cheek down, and you are also trying to draw the left hip down. So one reason why people can't feel this posture usually is because they're leaning over towards the right. You need to actually draw the left hip down as well, and that's what creates the stretch in the right glute, right hip. Hands in front of you. So we're trying to square the hips up. So imagine I've got my hands on your hips and I'm just squaring them up, and you can actually do that yourself to see if you can get that movement. You're more than welcome to stay straight armed. But if you want to, if you love this posture, if you think this feels amazing, you can inhale and exhale, lay the weight of the body over that right leg. Okay? This is a very big passive stretch. Some people love it, some people don't like it. I don't know if holding it for 5 minutes is a great idea, but holding it for a minute or so, or even just 5 deep breaths. A really lovely release for the right hip, provided the right knee is okay. And you're just trying to draw that left hip down, draw the right hip down, square the hips. We're going to hold it for a count of 5. Some people could fall asleep in this posture, other people not so much. So we'll hold it for 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Lovely. So just come up onto straight arms, tuck the back toe, straighten the left leg, and then see if you can just press into the hands and pick your right foot back up into downward dog. Maybe pedal the feet out a little bit, wiggle the hips a little bit, and we're going to change sides. So as you inhale, straighten the left leg behind you. Exhale, left knee to left elbow, left foot to right wrist, and then lay the shin down, scooch the right leg back. One side may be different, so don't worry about it. If one side feels a little bit tighter, a little bit looser, just work with your body. And then to create that stretch in the left glute, left hip area, see if you can draw your right hip down. So again, imagine my hands are on your hips and I'm squaring those hips off. You can stay upright, or you can fold forward. I only come onto my forearms in this, but you can come chin and chest, forehead with the arms straight out in front, very much up to you. But just trying to relax any areas we don't need. It's not an active posture, so we shouldn't be engaging any muscles, just sort of letting the weight of the body do the work for us here. Any discomfort in the knee, come out the posture. And we're just going to hold it for a count of 5, so 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Lovely. So come back onto straight arms, straighten the back leg, tuck the toes, press into the hands. Just pull your left leg out, back up into downward dog. Again, make any small movements you need to. You can pedal the legs out, wiggle the hips, do whatever feels good. Just to bring a bit of blood back into the legs. And then from downward dog, we're coming into seated. So you can step, you can jump, you can just come down onto your knees until you're in a seated position. For our last posture, a very deep hip opener. So we worked into the hips quite a bit today, worked into the shoulders. We're going to see if we can put them together. There is an option. I want to show you the option first. So if this next posture is not working for you, your option is cross-legged, okay? Just like this, just like a normal cross-legged position. The right leg on top of the left, so the right calf on top of the left, and when we change sides, very simply, you will just put the left calf on top of the right. So that's what you're going to do if the next movement doesn't work, and it is quite a big hip opener in the next posture. So cross-legged is your option. You can even sit on a block to prop the hips up if cross-legged feels uncomfortable. Otherwise, we're going to have a go at double pigeon, shin to shin pose, which is exactly what it says on the tin. We are going to start with our left shin on the floor. We are going to see if we can place the right shin on top of the left. Very difficult actually, it looks like it should be easy, but it's not. So the left shin's down, the right shin's on top of the left. Double pigeon, so I suppose it's called that because the shin's kind of in a similar position as it was just in that previous posture. If this isn't worked, you're in a normal cross-legged position with the right calf on top of the left. It may look a bit more like this for you. That's okay, but don't fold forward. If this is super uncomfortable and there's a massive gap between your left knee and your right, the other way. There's a massive gap between your knee and your foot and you're leaning backwards. Do not fold forward because it's not worth compromising the knee. You're more than welcome to stay here, but I would recommend just coming into a cross-legged position. Otherwise, the right shin's on top of the left. I want you to draw your shoulders together. Just take hold of your elbows or your wrists. You inhale, lift the chest. And if you're in a cross-legged position, you can just take hold of the elbows and do exactly the same next movement. If there is that big gap, don't. You inhale, lift, and then exhale, fold forward, and lay the weight of the body over the legs, whether they're shin to shin or whether they're cross-legged, okay? And then let the forehead drop, and you should be feeling the biggest stretch ever if you're shin to shin on your right butt cheek. Slightly less subtle if you're cross-legged, but still deep. It all depends on hips. But just relax as much as possible. Keep the shoulders rolling together, so very easy to let them fall towards the floor, but keep actively working them back. And we'll hold it here for 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Inhale, rise, lovely. Keep the elbows where they are. Well, you might need to readjust your legs with your hands, but either way, we're going to keep the hands in the same position, and we're just going to put the right shin down, and we're going to plop the left shin on top of the right, or you're having the left calf on top of the right if you're in cross-legged. So just switching. You inhale, lift, and you exhale, fold. Same thing. Be careful, be mindful of knees, don't push it. You should be feeling, if you're shin to shin, a very, 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 very big stretch in your left hip, left glute area. Keep the shoulders rolling back, keep the breath steady, and we're going to hold it for 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Inhale, back up. Release the hands, release the legs, give the legs a shake, and come into Shavasana, because we're done. So Shavasana, corpse pose, lie flat on the floor, legs straight or knees bent. I don't really mind if you want to have the soles of the feet together. That isn't Shavasana, but you can do that if you want to do that with the knees falling out sideways. But just find a comfortable position and then let everything go. So let everything relax. So really a lot of work into the hips and the shoulders today. So you may find, if the soles of the feet together, and if the legs are falling out sideways, or if you're straight-legged and the outside of the feet are falling out sideways, you may find that movement's a little bit easier. You know, we've worked a lot into the hips, so it might come a little bit more naturally, not trying to force it. You might find that the palms face the ceiling a little bit easier, because we've done all that work into the shoulders. And so feel the heaviness in the hips, feel the heaviness in the shoulders, back of the head on the floor, the legs heavy, everything's very relaxed. And then let your breath come back to normal. No longer trying to control the breath. Reintroducing that natural rhythm. And just try and take your attention around the body and just check in and see how you feel. So maybe see how the body feels post-practice. Maybe see how the energy feels post-practice. And it will change. Sometimes you'll feel very energetic. You'll feel better after a practice. Sometimes perhaps you feel worse. Like that's less common for me, but it happens. So we're never judging. We're just paying attention, checking in, and get to know our body, get to know our energy levels a little bit easier, a little bit more. The purpose of this video, I'll just bring us out of it. But if you want to stay here, you absolutely stay here. Otherwise, wiggling fingers and toes, and you take a cat stretch. So pointing the toes down the mat, arms overhead, one last time, lengthen. And then one last time, hugging the knees into the chest and making some circles, doing whatever feels good for the base of the spine. You can even stay on the floor and do some twists to finish your practice. If there's anything else you want to do, you go ahead. You are your own best teacher. Otherwise, you popping yourself up into seated, and that is it for the last Facebook Live yoga class for Wednesday. It's been a pleasure. It's been absolutely brilliant doing these classes. And as always, if you have any questions, let me know. If you want to message me about anything, let me know. And I will be teaching back at Liftoff on Saturdays, and you are always more than welcome to come to those classes. Yeah, well, it's been a pleasure, guys. I hope your hips feel good. I hope your shoulders feel good. And I'll see you hopefully around, and have a lovely weekend.